What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, Venmo, and the Patreon family. We working. Now I'm back with my original segment, Boxing Ego's First Look. A teletape series sneak peek, a preview of the fight before the fight. Now, this weekend, Saturday, on Showtime, live from the Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York, it goes down for the WBC heavyweight world title, Deontay Wilder versus BERMANE STIVERNE Part 2. Now, this is like a Freaky Friday. The roles have been reversed. The two did fight. This is a rematch, and this is a rematch from the 2015 fight where BERMANE STIVERNE, he was the guy with momentum and he was the champion at the time, and Wilder stepped in as challenger. And now Wilder has defended several times. BERMANE STIVERNE has worked his way back up the rankings and is now the #1 mandatory. Now, if you follow boxing and if you don't live under a rock, you'll know that this was not the initial main event. Initially, Deontay Wilder and his team were willing to pay BERMANE STIVERNE step-aside money, promise him a slot on this card, and they were going to fight Luis King Kong Ortiz, which they thought would be a more appealing fight for the fans and for the network Showtime. But Luis King Kong Ortiz, as part of the VADA clean testing program, they do the random blood and urine drug test. He failed his drug test. He tested positive for 2 ingredients that were banned. Now, this is not the first time Luis Ortiz has failed a PEDS test or a drug test in his career. He also failed after fighting Latif Coyote after he knocked him out, I think, at the first round. So it wasn't a good look for Luis Ortiz. Him and his team, they claim that they're taking some high blood pressure medicine, but the biggest discrepancy is, as a pro fighter, and this is a lesson for all pro fighters, you don't want to shed negative light on what you're doing. You don't want to make and give, because perception is reality. So you don't want to make things look fishy when they're not. So if you are prescribed, and they showed doctors' pills and stuff, but that doesn't mean nothing, right? But they showed medicine, and the ingredients in that medicine are potentially the medicine ingredients that he got flagged for. But the thing is, they did not declare it. VADA, USADA, WADA, they all give you an opportunity to declare what you're taking. So if you say, I'm not taking anything, and then later VADA, through laboratory testing, either your blood or urine, they produce results, then that's not going to look good on your behalf. So needless to say, the Luis King Kong Ortiz fight got canceled. The WBC had a ruling, a hearing, and decided, and it's just not looking good for King Kong Ortiz, because he was also the mandatory for champion Anthony Joshua with the WBA, a totally different sanctioning body, and he lost that slot. The WBA recently announced that they dropped him from the rankings as a result of this adverse finding and this failed drug test, because they both use VADA, WBC and WBA. They have their own programs though. So it wasn't a good look. So we can't blame Deontay Wilder. He's gunning for the big opportunities. He says and wants to prove himself. He tried with Alexander Povetkin, another guy who tested out of his fight. The fight got canceled. They had a date, venue, and time. Once again, you can't blame the champion for signing up to fight these guys. They have venues, dates, times, contract signed. It's agreed upon, and through no fault of Wilder's, these guys have failed drug tests and they can't complete the program. This is what the WBC does. They have a clean boxing program, and Wilder's enrolled into it. They can test you when they want. They can take blood samples, urine samples. So you got to be prepared and ready and clean for that procedure. So anyway, needless to say, BERMANE STIVERNE, he got elevated from the co-main event or whatever he was on the undercard to the main event, and this is satisfying Wilder's mandatory status. So Wilder has 1 belt, the WBC belt. If he beats BERMANE STIVERNE, he should be clear for a little while for mandatories. Hopefully we get a big heavyweight unification. That's what boxing needs. Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua, the only 2 other guys currently with belts. Joshua just fought last week. I like how Showtime did that. Sky Sports, Showtime Boxing, they televised the Joshua versus Carlos Takam. Again, that's another situation where a heavyweight main event was compromised, and this was a little bit different. Instead of a failed drug test, it was Joshua's initial opponent, Kubrat Pulev. He had some kind of injury that forced him to pull out 2 weeks before the fight, so they went down the list and picked Carlos Takam. It was a cagey, tricky fight. Joshua pretty much dominated, but he didn't look as sensational doing it, and then he got a controversial stoppage in the 10th round. So the paths are set for 2018 to collide. Obviously, Wilder has to get past BERMANE STIVERNE here. Tyson Fury just did a video today. I made a video about it, and he says he's coming back for the throne, and these guys have motivated him to get back in shape. So it's popping at heavyweight division. December, you have David Haye trying to turn his wrong into a right and beat Tony Bellew, the guy who upset and stopped him earlier this year. So there's some action at heavyweight, and I'm definitely going to be paying attention to it. Looking forward to this fight. I will be in attendance at the Barclays Center for this particular one. And let me know, the thing I like about the Wilder-Stiverne fight is, like I said, this creates a clear path. If he would have fought Luis Ortiz, he would have still had to worry about Stiverne at some point. Even though I'm upset that I wanted to see Wilder versus Ortiz, I think that's a more impactful fight for Wilder's career. But again, through no fault of his own, that fight got canceled. You can't blame him for that. But he would have, even if he fought Ortiz and beat him, he still would have had to worry about Stiverne at some point. And Stiverne was getting a little bit antsy and fidgety about wanting to get his opportunity. So in a sense, it's kind of good that Wilder is taking care of it right now, because Stiverne even hired an attorney, Andre Ward's attorney, Josh Dubin, to represent him, to make sure he gets represented in the right way and gets a fair shake on his mandatory status. So he wasn't playing about wanting it. But Stiverne sounds pretty confident. Anytime you fought a guy before, then maybe there's little things that you know you could do better, you know about that person. So we'll see what Stiverne can bring to the table. I did see an interview where Stiverne said, I think on the press conference, he says, nobody can knock me out. He won't be able to stop me. And to Stiverne's credit, out of 38 wins, Stiverne is the only person thus far that has went the distance with Deontay Wilder. So we'll see if he can do it again, if he can upset Deontay Wilder. Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder has a perfect, unblemished record. He is a bronze medalist in the Olympics. As a pro, he has a record of 38-0. He hasn't lost thus far. And the only man to go the distance with him is this man, BERMANE STIVERNE. He has a record of 25-2-1. Obviously, one of those losses was to BERMANE STIVERNE. The age advantage goes to Wilder. He's the youngest fighter. He's the younger fighter, 32 years of age. BERMANE STIVERNE a bit older. He's 38 years old. Obviously, the height advantage, if you've ever seen the two in the first fight, you know that goes to Deontay Wilder. He's 6'7" tall. BERMANE STIVERNE listed at 6'2". So that's some of a disparity that Stiverne is going to have to overcome. And the other thing is, Stiverne has been on a layoff. He has not fought since the same year, 2015, that he fought Deontay Wilder. He did fight Derek Rossi later that year, but he hasn't fought since 2015. So we hope he's in shape and ready to go. Now, the fight is taking place at the heavyweight division, so the weight doesn't really matter. From what I've seen, Wilder's usually 227 to 237, right around there. I'm not sure BERMANE STIVERNE's last weigh-ins, but he's usually probably a little bit bigger. Reach advantage goes to the taller fighter. Deontay Wilder has a reach of 83 inches. BERMANE STIVERNE's reach is listed at 77 inches. And again, this is a mandatory situation for the WBC belt title fight, championship fight. Showtime, even though they wanted the Luis Ortiz fight, they didn't back away from giving Deontay Wilder their exposure. They know it's not his fault, so they will be televising this particular Brooklyn Boxing, Barclay Boxing. It goes down. Let me know who wins this particular fight. Do you think Stiverne can pull the upset? There was a recent interview with Paulie Malignaggi, the Magic Man, a commentator for Showtime, and he basically said don't sleep on Stiverne. Stiverne does have a shot here. So you never know with these types of things, because even in the Anthony Joshua Carlos Takam fight, Joshua was supposed to fight Kubrat Pulev, and he trained for Kubrat Pulev. Carlos Takam presented some different issues with his style. So those last minute switches, you never know, especially in the heavyweight division where one punch can change everything. So training for Luis Ortiz and getting sparring partners that mimic the southpaw stance, and more so what Luis Ortiz does well, is not the same as the orthodox fighter BERMANE STIVERNE, who's shorter than Luis Ortiz. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see if this last minute switch changes anything. Wilder has promised that it won't go 12 rounds, and he's even went on record saying if STIVERNE beats him some kind of way, he'll retire from boxing. I don't know how serious he is about that, but we're gonna have to tune in this week, Saturday on Showtime. Boxingego first look, tale of the tape. Let me know who wins this one and what's next for the heavyweight division. What matches do you want to see? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.